In this episode, a bear attack that occurred in Cape May National Park was featured in the tragic and unsettling story of Timothy Treadwell, also known as the Grizzly Man. What happened and why? This and other questions will be answered in the video. Welcome to Wild Assault. In this park, there are about 3,000 of Alaska's 35,000 grizzly bears. The extremely powerful brown bear, also referred to as the grizzly bear, can grow to a length of 7 feet, weigh up to PS 700. However, Timothy developed a bond with these bears and, misled by a false sense of respect, frequently came perilously close to them. In the 85 years that the park has existed, a grizzly bear has never killed a visitor. Bear spray is allowed, but firearms are not. But a few summers earlier, Timothy had stopped arming himself with bear spray. Sadly, this was the point at which things started to go wrong. In October 2003, Treadwell traveled with his partner, Amy, to Cape May National Park. Amy's extreme anxiety around bears was mentioned in Treadwell's journals. She expressed her desire to leave the camp they had established in a journal entry. Wild bears frequented a salmon stream nearby where Treadwell pitched his tent in the fall. He went to the park later than usual in the year, when the bears were still trying to gain as much weight as they could for the upcoming winter. The bears were considerably more aggressive than usual because there was much food available. The plan was for Timothy and Amy to depart the park at Timothy's usual time of year, but on September 26 they returned to Kodiak to store their equipment for the year and catch a flight to their California home. However, after a disagreement with the airline ticket seller about the costs of changing his return ticket, they both made the decision to return to their campsite on September 29 for an additional week. Treadwell also looked for a female brown bear that he loved and was concerned about, as bears from other parts of the park that Treadwell was less accustomed to were moving in. The bear Treadwell had grown accustomed to throughout the summer had already gone into hibernation. In the final video Treadwell captured before he passed away, a bear could be seen repeatedly diving into the river. The bear appears to be looking for a piece of dead fish. Treadwell admitted in the video that he wasn't entirely at ease around that specific bear. Additionally, it has been suggested that Treadwell may have captured the grizzly that ultimately claimed his life in the documentary Grizzly Man. At noon on Sunday, October 5 Treadwell spoke with a coworker in Malibu, California, over a satellite phone. The following day at 2 p.m., as scheduled, Andrew Airways air taxi pilot Willie Fulton arrives at Coffee Lake. Willie claims that a sizable brown bear approached him though. On that morning, it was cloudy and raining. After landing, Willie calls the couple and believes he sees Timothy shaking out the tarp, but he receives no response. He decides to check out the trail leading from the shore through the dense undergrowth towards the camp after spotting some activity. About 3/4 of the way up the hill, he senses that something doesn't feel quite right. Then, according to Willie, the bear, which he had previously seen from the air, turned around and retraced his steps toward the thick undergrowth. Willie then launches himself into the air to shoo the bear away, passing over the camp 15 to 20 times before spotting what appears to be the same bear chomping on a human rib cage. After that, he decides to contact 4 additional park rangers, including Ranger Ellis. The 4 exited the aircraft and slowly trudged up the trail that led to the lake while yelling to attract the attention of any nearby survivors and bears. Vision was obstructed by the thick growth of bushes and high grass. On a ridge, the camp was concealed. The group was being approached by an adult bear from about 20 feet away. With a pistol in hand, Roger Ellis began to fire. It was successful to drop the bear 12 feet away. As they neared the campsite, they discovered buried human remains. 2 tents, one for gear and the other for sleeping, were discovered to be present. Later, Ranger Ellis recalled seeing fingers and an arm sticking out of a mound of dirt. This was the first known case of a person being killed by a bear in the park's 85-year history after moving it. According to the authorities, a camera that was discovered at the scene recorded the incident. All sounds and cries made up the 6-minute recording of bear number 141 mauling Treadwell to death. Later, the footage was examined by the Alaska State Troopers. On the tape, Amy's voice can be heard for the first time. She makes a startling noise while pondering whether it is still present. Amy must have followed Timothy's instructions or turned on the camera out of reflex. The attack was already in progress when the camera was turned on. That is the point. Timothy's voice then screams for help to get away from the area. The bear and Timothy are fighting outside the tent as Amy screams, and the tent is being hit by rain, wind, and other storm sounds. Unsurprisingly, the bear retreats when Amy screams and shouts nearby. The bear then reappears, forcing Amy to leave in response to sounds that were captured. Then Timothy could be heard pleading with her to hit the bear and shouting that pretending to be dead was pointless. The wind and the sound of the rain hitting the tent at this time were muffling the sounds. But Amy can be heard clearly yelling to fight back. She screams, "Stop, go away." And then there is the sound of a frying pan being used to pound the top of the bear's head and Timothy moaning. The bear is believed to have released his hold on Timothy's head at this point in the attack and grabbed him by the upper thigh over the storm's ruckus. "Amy, get away, get away." Can be heard Timothy screaming. Amy screams incredibly loudly. Timothy knew he was going to die at this point, and he wanted to spare Amy the same fate. Timothy was undoubtedly conscious during his final moments and was making a valiant effort to live. Nearly all the bear's noise is silence. In contrast to what is portrayed in movies, there are only low growls and sporadic groans, which intensifies the dread of the scene. The noises, the bear yanking them off, and the screams are all signs that Timothy is being dragged into the jungle and away from the camp. Amy's high-pitched screams become more audible. The audio file ends in a manner similar to what has been described as a predator call used by hunters to elicit the terrified sounds of a small wounded animal, which frequently attracts bears. Amy, the bear might have found the killer by following screams. Biologist Larry Randall of the Alaska Department of Fish and Game proposed a theory that on Friday, October 8, 2 days after the investigators' initial arrival, 23 biologists Larry Van Dale conducted an across copy on the larger bear, also known as Bear 141, present at the scene. The stomach and gastrointestinal tract were found to contain torn pieces of clothing and human remains. Despite the possibility that this unfortunate and tragic incident could have been avoided, it ranks among the most unsettling stories ever told.